What's up? What's up? Hoi, 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 hoi!
Welcome to your favorite program, Let's Popularize.
And for in-depth conversations, make sure not to miss Asikulumsane. On in 30 minutes. Meet the people. Replay will take you down memory lane. Rejuvenate your love for content filled with historical information.
Ndokhumbula ukuthi uma ukhothama yona inkosi Mswati ubambile Thanzile Ndwandwe kwase kubekwa yena ke luthongo.
Ngikukhumbula nje irobot yayikhona embabane kuphela.
Re-energize your soul and revive your viewing passion for Eswatini TV. Be sure to join us every Monday to Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eswatini TV replay.
Eye on SADC, telling the African story from an African perspective. This is the only news program bringing you news, views, and interviews straight from the countries where it happened. Join me in Ndishishi Hamfungu as I take you on a journey across Southern Africa. That's on Eye on SADC, news of SADC from SADC.
It's Spar Rewards winning car time, and you could be turning your shopping into a limited edition Hyundai Grand i10. Plus, get incredible specials like Spar cornflakes for only $19.99 and Baker's Murray biscuits. Buy any two for just 24 Emalangeni. Remember, every participating product you buy gets you another entry to win with Spar Rewards. So sign up today. Spar Rewards win a car. Now on.
It has just gone 8 o'clock Central African time. Good evening and welcome to the news bulletin at 8, brought by Eswatini TV. My name is Sanboy Ngong alongside Namaktabiso Ngambule. Thank you so much indeed for choosing to stay with us. We're coming to you live from our Hospital Hill studios in Babane. Let's take a look at our top stories. The Ministry of Agriculture has generated revenue amounting to over 2 million emalangeni through the cattle auction sales this year. The Public Accounts Committee has been left in shock following reports that there is a civil servant who's refusing to be transferred to another government ministry. And in the world of sports, the Minister for Sports, Harris Blunga, says the support from all stakeholders to local athletes is bearing fruits as athletes have been getting international medals whenever they get a chance to represent the country. And now the news in detail. The Ministry of Agriculture has generated revenue amounting to over 2 million emalangeni through the cattle auction sales this year. Now, the Deputy Director of Livestock, Luyanda Kumalo, says this kind of sales helps farmers sell their cattle at a competitive price.
Deputy Director of Livestock, Luyanda Kumalo, says cattle auctions done by the Ministry of Agriculture has given farmers more profit.
The recent auction sale made an amount of 425,100 from sale of 51 cattle. Beginning of this calendar year to date, the ministry has been able to conduct 5 cattle auction sales, and they generated an income of 2,236,300 emalangeni from a total sale of 279 head of cattle. These figures, as we can see, demonstrate a positive economic potential in beef cattle production and its value chain.
Kosinathi Nxumalo, a buyer, says buying in an auction is more cheaper for him because sometimes he gets a head of cattle at a cheaper price. Sipho Mamba, who is a farmer, says such auctions help them sell their cattle at a competitive price.
Sithole kusisita kakhulu lo kudala lapho khona kunendala ngokuthi letinkomo mhlambe boyibite ngemali lencane nawufika lapha wena lo ithengisako ifike ukuthi labantu nababanenge uthola inani lelikhulu lemali nawe ithengisako.
Na unenkinga uyacela ulethe inkomo yakho la bakuthengela ngemali lenhle uma babanenge laba abathenga ngobe bayabangisana. So now ngabe utifake la plazini nakhona tiyakusita batkhipha la batfake endaleni awusokoli ukucasha imoto teku travela tibuyise tinkomo la tivele tingene nje elo kanjaneni auction.
The deputy director urges farmers who want to be part of the auctions to contact the ministry. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ngamandla, visuals from the Ministry of Agriculture.
The Ministry of Health Director Services Dr. Vusi Makagule says exercising and being physically fit helps one to prevent non-communicable diseases which result in death when one contracts COVID-19. Dr. Makagule said this during the launch of the Walk the Talk, a Health for All challenge by the World Health Organization.
This year's Walk the Talk Health for All challenge by the World Health Organization will be the 3rd edition, which will be in Geneva this coming Sunday. The walk is held prior to the World Health Assembly. The World Health Organization Health Promotional Officer Dr. Kevin Makatsange elaborates about the health benefits of participating in the walk.
Physical activity can actually reduce your risk of getting non-communicable diseases like your BP, your heart failure, your diabetes, and even cancers. So with this initiative, we are actually saying people should develop a habit of being physically active.
Director Health Services Dr. Vusi Makagule says exercising keeps one fresh.
Look and assess and look at the conditions of patients who are in the hospital now. A big chunk of them is because of these comorbidities. It will be folly of me not to mention the effect of the comorbid conditions that affected a lot of Eswatini during the COVID era. A lot of Eswatini were affected, and the leading cause or the leading conditions that actually affected, that caused people to suffer most with COVID were related to non-communicable diseases. So anything, the ministry would like anything, any activity that will reduce that kind of condition so that Eswatini will live longer.
One of the participants, Paradise Mamba, encourages the Maswati to participate in such activities.
Ngabamema nje lamanye amaswati lesinawo ukuthi kuzethe sikhona kulwa nalabo obesity nalokunye lokuba sesekubangelwa ngilokuba overweight ukugula. Ufuna sibokusukumela etulu tinto letinjengaleti because kona kahle kahle kungachamuka once off but kukhona la kufike ku shape up khona for your future exercises.
This is in-person event invites participants to run or walk over 2 routes, 3 kilometers and 4.2 kilometers. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Sanziso Mlambo Mbabane.
The Public Accounts Committee has been left in shock following reports that there is a civil servant who is refusing to be transferred to another government ministry. This is one of the two engineers who were in the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, but transferred to the Ministry of Public Works and Transport. The engineer was transferred so to be in a more fitting ministry. Eswatini TV's Tembeko Simafimbela has more on that story.
The two engineers were transferred from the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade to the Ministry of Public Works and Transport following a recommendation from the Public Accounts Committee. This was to ensure that they are transferred to a ministry in which they will be more productive, as the Ministry of Commerce does not need engineers on a regular basis. The PAC expressed its shock about this.
But the commissar is vedele che sitoyicetsa namuhla ukuthi yente njani commerce ngoba wanyalo isaveta ukuthi inalesinqumo kodwa nakuvakali noma sebasithulile into ekunene hlala uvalani nomholo walomuntu ngoba phela uhola ngoba usebenzile but mangabe dawuhola nje uhledi uthi wena awusafuni ukusebenza because usebenza nemajuni akuvakali imali ema-service center iphuma nje imali ama-taxpayers sibhadala thina sibhadala uhledi. How many years abantu bahledi lapha?
Basho bathi kude umsebenzi wabo nabo bedala bathi kude abasebenzi bavuka nje bahlale e-office ba-withdraw 35,000 per month. So ngiko ngisho ngithi chairperson nami ngithi ngiyacela litiko lisebenzise kahle lenzaba ngoba iPayC beyibambisa lelitiko lihle linebantu lelingabasebenzisi laba hola imali yelitiko mahala.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, as well as the Ministry of Public Service, responded to this.
Uthi cha abakhona ngeke baze bakhona ukusebenza eWorks ngoba le misebenzi lekufuna bayisebenza le angeke ize bona bafuna ukuchubeka sengile misebenzi lemidzala le bayenda. Uthi ke Civil Service Commission litiko ke selifuna lilethe i-disciplinary i-preliminary bakhona labantu laba ku-discipline because nyalo beva ngazuthi sebayenzelela umqashi.
The PAC noted that it seems that the Ministry of Public Works and Transport will have to come before it to answer about the issue of the engineer. For Eswatini TV News, Temgose Mavimbela with Nomfundo Makakula, Parliament.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade says public concerns about Exponet have reached their attention and they are doing something about that. The ministry has said this during Parliament when it appeared before the Public Accounts Committee earlier today. The ministry had been asked how Exponet is allowed to change its name without paying investors what is due to them.
After Exponent Limited changed its name, investors cried foul as they were not given back their invested monies and interest. Members of the Public Accounts Committee have asked the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade about how the investment company changed its name before investors were paid.
Lamaswati lawo beka asajue to retire. Wafika Exponet wathatha timali tawo engathi abengena la mshinini ukuthi abengena njani abo onke lawo maswati la retire enlenzaba lena iphumile ngisho emaphepheni emaswati asangeni nala eParliament ingenile chairperson.
Ingapane nathi birth certificate yayo is a commence. Ne death certificate yayo is a commence. Nema processes nansi change of name. The processes akonke as a commence. So lenza base Exponet itayiphendula commence.
Registrar of Companies Msebe Malinga responded to this.
Kusete lokufikile officeini officially kwengukuthi kunama issues aka Exponet namasiweva siwabona le process ithi chair all we do thina ngule registration and administration of lama companies but lama processes lendekako la ngekhathi akhona ama portfolio labukane nawo njengala Exponet ingale ku portfolio yaka finance. Ngingahleba nje ngihlonishwa ngivete kwengukuthi kukhona lokuvelile kuleli viki kuvela kulenye agent yahulumende lekhulumisana tona lenzaba lephathelene ukuthi mhlambe timbo tingasebenzi kahle eSwatini labas-approachile che basikhulumisa ngayo indzaba ye-exponent nayo le ngabhani lethethe over-exponent mahlangisho siku-process yaloku yibuka lokho ukuthi ingabe vele kwenteka kahle yini.
Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela with Nomfundo Makakula, Parliament.
The Ministry of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs Senate Portfolio Committee urges the ministry to table in Parliament the Eswatini National Council of Arts and Culture Bill, which will have a positive industry in the arts and culture sector. Now, the committee said this when the Minister of Youth Affairs, Harris Blunga, officially appeared or officially closed the meeting between the ministry and the Portfolio Committee.
The meeting between the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs and its Senate Portfolio Committee took 3 days where the members were given insight about the work of the ministry. The Portfolio Committee encourages the ministry to table in Parliament the Eswatini National Council of Arts and Culture Bill.
Benefits lamaningi njengoba asibekele CEO wethu isinika lelithemba and giving us actually a lot of appreciation even for lama beauty pageants. You know, siyabonga CEO just giving us that understanding what it's part of, you know, promoting culture and making sure ukuthi laba bakhona kuyokhuluma nebalingani babo and nabakhuluma bayabeva. See, we are at the risk of having people exporting their culture to us, and that is very dangerous. Where sigcina sesihawukela noma yini akhona emasiko lamanye langenayo inhlonipho ukhuluma nabani sinome kanjani, it's not a part of our culture. Kukhona lusito liqhamuka emaveni laqhamuka kashane noma ngaphandle ete nemasiko lathide lamasiko lathide eta through music.
Ingabe i-curriculum yalama higher institutions yona iyayifaka in the culture, because bekungaba kuhle lokuthi nayo leyo curriculum ifake i-component yale culture.
Ivakala imgcoka kakhulu esiveni seMaswati, timbunga tiyevakala ukuthi setiyilambele ngaseParliament nami ngisho njalo.
Angisho nami ukuthi le bill I'm in full support of it as presented. Kunetinshwana nje mhlawumbe lesitawudinga ukuthi sitibukisise ukuthi bamba it sounds good, it looks good. Kodwa will it be good? Ilevi nje nangabe mina ngathi ukuthi nangihost event yami ngakha 100,000. Afike arts and culture kulo 100,000 athathe kumbe 10,000. Gani kunema destinations lamanye la 2 lane population lesetulu. Kunewe ukuthi ngikhiphe mina le levy ngcono ukuthi hayi angimane ngende la eceleni kwelithaka. Lamaswati latawufuna kuya atawuya ke jana anginandzaba noma mancane vele inamba.
Senate Portfolio Committee Chairperson Princess Tsanzisile says the committee is fully behind the ministry.
Sifundzele okuningi, sitholele okuningi, siyanethembisa ukuthi kulesikhashana lesisele sitanibambisa kakhulu, sitawutama ndvuna nkosi yami, sitawutama ngalokusemandleni ethu ukuthi sinibambise ngelizinga lesifisa ngalo.
The Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Blunga, assures the committee that the ministry will work around the clock to implement outcomes of the meeting.
Vele shaktele nako loku-implemente kanyalo sitavele sekulungise. Lokudzinga maybe kusekeleka ngetimali sitawuzama kuhulumende kumobilize leyo mali mhlambe le-additional yekufanda leyo mibono leseniyibekile kithi. Phindze sitsekele nakuma development partners. Timpunga letinye siyathemba ukuthi kutasibambisa. Ngokuthi agcine lama bills ehlile nathi kube nemsebenzi lesiwufaka kweParliament kubonakala ukuthi silitiko asikahlali phasi ibe insha la ngaphandle inetidzingo longeke kudibale uticethe.
For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Sanziso Mlambo esiZulwini.
One of the findings of the bipartite dialogue between employers and apex organizations of the employees is that labor conflicts often lead to slow growth of the economy, and that stifles the creation of job opportunities. Speaking during a press briefing where a joint statement with the Trade Union Congress of Eswatini, the Chief Executive Officer of Business Eswatini, Inati Lamini, he says there's a need for all parties concerned to work together. Lamini was speaking at Business Eswatini offices at Mafini.
Business Eswatini and the Trade Union of Congress of Eswatini has delivered the findings and the resolutions of the bipartite dialogue, which was held a week ago. Business Eswatini's Chief Executive Officer Nathi Dlamini details some of the findings and resolutions.
Encouraged by the knowledge that when the parties begin to earnestly put their heads and efforts together around these problems, solutions would not evade them, even if they end up agreeing to disagree on some of the issues tabled for discussion. While these challenges have been building over a number of years, if not decades, the parties identified thematic areas to initiate their discussions, namely employment protection and job creation by considering the actions required to preserve the current jobs, while making vigorous attempts to create new ones, especially for our youth.
The president of the Trade Union Congress of Eswatini, Begimamba, says working together in resolving issues is important.
Working together as employers and workers, it then says we deeply understand the challenges that face us, that we have got to work together. And I think we are so much encouraged as the Federation that we can arrive to that magnitude of understanding.
The organizations say a subcommittee will be chosen which will work with relevant stakeholders to ensure that resolutions are given the right attention. For Swatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla with Mbongwa Dube Mbabane.
Dr. Tembi Ndangamandla from the Veterinary Department under the Ministry of Agriculture encourages Maswati to rear bees and produce honey as there are plenty of markets available. Dr. Ndangamandla said this during the commemoration of the World Bee Day.
On the 20th of May annually, the world commemorates World Bee Day, which look at the importance of bees on planet Earth. Dr. Tembi Ndangamandla from the Ministry of Agriculture under the Veterinary Services Department says if bees were to perish, humans and livestock will not live for more than 4 years. She encourages the Maswat to keep bees as markets are available.
When you look at what has happened in the last year, or 2021, and beginning of 2022, we have seen a lot of rains. It has rained so hard. As a result, the nectar was washed away. So that has been a threat. Another issue was the wax moth. The wax moth, because of the climate change also, it has basically been attacking most of the hives in the country, and that has caused a lot of absconsion, hence the reduction in the population of bees. We do have a market for honey in the country. I will encourage people to venture into beekeeping. We have seen a huge produce this year, especially in the areas that are usually dry. Those have harvested quite a substantial amount of honey. The market is there, it's available. We have quite a number of processors, and they do want to process your honey as a Maswati. I will encourage you to venture into beekeeping and do send your produce to those processors.
Recent report by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization suggests that there are over 2 trillion bees kept by beekeepers worldwide. Dr. Ndangamandla encourages the Maswati, especially females, to eat honey so they may look younger than their ages. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Ndangamandla with Sanziso Mlambo Mbabane.
Government spokesperson Alpheus Nxumalo says the government viewed the statement attributed to a certain leader of one of the political formations in the country in the most serious light and take this opportunity to condemn the statement declaring war against the security services of the country. Nxumalo says leaders of these formations should not auction with the lives of our young people by inciting them to commit crime and violence with the view that democracy will be secured in that fashion and manner. Therefore, he urges the leadership of these formations to desist from the tendency to trigger and escalate tensions between citizenry and the security forces. Nxumalo pleads with political formations to allow the investigation processes to establish the facts behind any perceived acts of using excessive force by our security services, run their course without being preemptive and dismissive of the outcomes. On the statement by the Eswatini Council of Churches, he would like to urge the Christian body not to be viewed as biased in terms of condemning the acts of violence, coercive and intimidation by parties involved in a conflict. They should not create an impression that the Eswatini Council of Churches is an organization affiliated or ideologically and politically aligned. Now we continue with our news. Louis Furniture Stores has donated 7 beds to Philani Maswati Charity Organization. Now the charity organization's chairperson Lutho Dlamini says the beds will be given to the elderly people. The donation is worth around 24,000 Malangeni.
As winter is approaching and the piercing cold has already started, Louis has donated single beds to Philani Maswati Charity Organization. Louis Store's regional manager, Ncobile Matsebula, unpacks the donation.
Ibibhedeke isikhombisa sithi bogogo Nkosi yami nabomkhulu abangalali phasi kuleli xhwala elingaka abamane balala etulo bandofotele nabo beve kuphatheka kahle ngoba asinokuthi ngoba sebakhulile sale sibalahlela lapha eceleni abachubeke nje baphile impilo ibe mnanzi kusho ukuthi total price yale mibhede ithi 24,000.
Philani Maswati Charity Organization chairperson Lutho Dlamini thanked Louis for the donation and asked other companies to follow in their footsteps.
Siyinhlangano yaphilane Maswati lethunywa ngilomangceveza ukuthi sinakekele abantu abadala eveni egameni lakhe wekunene sicela lokwendlulisa kubonga lokukhulu kubaka Louis titabasita abantu abadala kubalulekile lokuthi ngisho ukuthi baka Louis abacale kusihlaba ngesigozwana sekungumkhuba lomhle lokuthi nasihluphekile sita sikhala atange senale lembhedzi tasisita sinelikhaya lapha kadrokolwako lesilakhelela abantu labadzala nganzi bakhona nalabanye lesibakhela tindlu la ngephandle so siyayisikhanze sesiyakhile lendlu sekude lombhedzi idasisita kakhulu embhedzi leng7 simemetela nje ukuthi kule nyanga letako sitabe sila kamavuso siletha umsebenzi lomkhulu webiggest braai lekukhutsata ukuthi sosele abantu labadzala siyajabula lokuthi Louis ngeba silahle sitabe sinabo lapha so ama-customer ka-Louis atasikhanza nalapha ku-biggest braai sithi naloko asikubonge kakhulu baka Louis sithi nitasibongela kulabo labanithumile.
As Dlamini has mentioned the hosting of the biggest braai this year, Maswati are reminded that proceeds from this event go towards helping the needy. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela with Nomfundo Makakula, Manzini.
Right now, let's see how our markets are performing today in our financial report.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. I'm Sani Boyngong. Right now, we shall take a look at news making headlines in the world of sports. Now, the Minister for Sports, Harry Siblunga, says the support from all stakeholders to local athletes is bearing fruit as the athletes have been getting international medals whenever they get a chance to represent the country. Siblunga was speaking when launching the golf tournament sponsored by First National Bank with a package of 1.4 million Malangeni.
It was a historical day in the golf industry where First National Bank sponsored a golf tournament with a package of 1.4 million Malangeni. Minister for Sports Harry Siblunga says the support by independent organization has indeed started producing results as local athletes are now able to get medals whenever they are representing the country internationally.
Mr. CEO, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the investment of the private sector into local sport is never, it will never be in vain. Our sport continues to make great strides locally and beyond, and it has become an industry that is worth investing on. Our athletes are holding their own in regional competitions, once more underlining the immense talent that is available.
Minister for Commerce Mancuba Khumalo, who was representing the Minister for Tourism, says the tournament will indeed be a touristic attraction.
As the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Management, we are really thrilled that such a significant sporting event will take place in this country for the first time because we understand how it will significantly boost tourism as highlighted before. Tourism and sports are very closely linked. It's a very potent mix and it's a winning combination for boosting the economy.
Dennis Mbing, who is the First National Bank Chief Executive Officer, expressed their need to sponsor the tournament.
FNB has committed to sponsoring up to 1.4 million emalangeni in direct prices and other structural support for the, Franz will correct me if I say it right, the FNB Ngonyeni Sunshine Tour Challenge.
Other speakers during the event, including the owner of Ngonyeni Golf Course, representative from Sunshine Tour and Eswatini Golf Union, applauded the kind gesture and revealed that the tournament will be played in July this year. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini with Nofundo Smelane, Ngonyeni.
The Minister of Sports, Youth, Arts and Culture, Harris Blunga, says Ngonyama Cup might return on August this year. Now, for now, the ministry is still in talks with all football stakeholders on how the prestigious tournament can return. Blunga was responding to questions posed by members of the ministry's portfolio committee in Senate. Now, with those sports news, that brings us to the conclusion of the news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. We shall now cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the crew here at Eswatini TV. For now, it's good night and God bless.